What's on my garage, on my elevator.
Yeah.
That's always cheaper than
Yeah. Oh, Jared's this is bad and he cuts on found stove maybe it's on his father-in-law's property. And they got, heated and enclosed. Yep.
only. Troy, you got your Christmas tree up?
We got no choice. Our Christmas with the kids is weekend after next.
Oh,
All that's going on.
Ruby won't come.
Yeah. The wife's in panic mode.
You guys ever had such a crowd?
No. Oh, there's.
Yep, we're good.
Call the Village of Bonneville Planning Commission meeting to order on December 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Statement regarding the meeting notice. The agenda for the meeting was sent to the Shawnee Leader and results broadcast. Copies of the agenda were also posted at the Village Hall, Bonneville State, and Bonneville Library. And approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and maybe as necessary.
Second.
Motion by Westcott, second by Peterson, to approve the agenda and DB as necessary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the August 21st, 2023 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Westcott, to approve the August 21st, 2023 minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Acknowledgement of citizenship and open forum. Assuming you're all here pretty much so for the survey, right?
Some of us are.
I know we have manic mowers and you all here for the road, talk about the outdoor recreation plan.
Right.
Okay, then we will move to that. Unfinished business, G1. Discussion and possible recommendation on village outdoor recreation plan.
Yeah, do you want them to go first, or do you want
Oh, you guys want to say
A
something?
background, or what do
Or you want to do all?
Well, I don't know if this is the first time you discussed it or what the situation is. So I've read some of the past minutes and haven't seen it per se. So
Nope, this was discussed. It was brought up through the plan commission to the board for approval. We published the outdoor rec plan survey October, I don't know the exact date. So it was open for about a month.
Yep.
So it was open for about a month. We published it in Market Messenger twice. We posted it online, Facebook, advertised it on the radio. Left it open for approximately 30 days, got the results, and this is the outdoor survey plan that we have to move forward with. So what we're doing with this information is we're going to take that information, prioritize it, and come up with the outdoor rec plan. Once the outdoor rec plan is prioritized, we'll create the plan. At that point in time, we'll be able to seek funding to help us fund some of these projects as we see it in priority, approved by the board, of course. So this is the first step of getting a priority list according to the outdoor rec plan.
okay, so the planning commission would make the preliminary plan.
Mhm.
And then take it to the board.
Yep.
And the board would approve it or change it. Or
Yep. However they see fit.
So this is really phase one, besides the survey.
Yeah, well, I would say this is phase two. The phase one was getting the outdoor rec plan initiated, coming up with some park ideas, walking the parks with Cedar Corp, taking their recommendations, crafting a survey, get the input from the public, and now we're on phase two with the input from the public, the input that Cedar Corp gave us to come up with a priority list of items we want to do moving forward.
The Cedar Corp is not, this group has not yet discussed the plan in open meeting.
Cedar Corp has brought their observations from the park. We haven't talked about priorities. So they brought a document. So we walk the parks with Cedar Corp, and with they're our contracted experts to come and look at our park to say, okay, what are we looking at? What should we do? Rather than just, because right now we have no outdoor rec plan. So in order to qualify for like CBDG grants and other things like Shawano and all these other places, get all this new playground equipment, that's because they have an outdoor rec plan. And if you don't have it, you're not going to get the funding for it. So, and we can't do it by ourselves because it's very expensive. So our thought is to contract out with Cedar Corp. We walked the parks, gave us some ideas. We threw them ideas on the survey, and then sort of let the public prioritize what we thought we should look at. So that's where we're at.
So it has gone to, the reason you're not finding minutes is because they just got approved tonight. So that was from the August, the minutes were approved tonight from the August 21st meeting. That's when Cedar Corp was at the meeting. So those will get posted now that they were approved at the August 21st meeting.
Oh, I
They
saw
just
it on
approved
mine.
the 21st ones. Maybe they're out there already, but they just approved them now. So
Yeah.
that's when they talked about it.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot in the, okay.
Yeah.
But thank you for the.
Yep.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, a couple of points, and I'm not speaking for all these people, but as you may recognize, a good share of these people live on Park Street.
Mhm.
And a couple of points that I'd like to make about this. First of all, I commend the planning commission and the entire board for going to Cedar Corporation and getting their input on how to conduct the survey and how to go about this whole thing, because we're all amateurs at this kind of thing, and they're professionals. I commend you for that. Gene and I participated in the survey, got a good survey. There's one aspect of it I'll mention that I was wondering about, but at any rate, very, very good process, I think. The survey itself, the part that I am concerned about, and I call your attention to the article in the paper, that the Shawano paper recently, that talked about 4 or 5 people thought they should, the Park Street portion at the park, or the Park Street portion at the park, should be vacated and closed off and so forth. Well, my question is this: how much of a priority is it to the people that said that they thought it should be closed off? I'll give you this example. We just recently had a survey at St. Paul Church where we hired a new minister, and they listed 9 different categories of qualities for a new minister: preaching, visiting in the homes and hospitals, et cetera, et cetera. And underneath these were little side points. In order to complete the survey, you had to prioritize which you thought not were just the most important, but what was number 1, what was number 2, all the way down to number 9. And I thought, well, that's good. It really forces you to make some decisions. That's the part of the survey that I am most concerned about. I answered the survey, but because we no longer have grandchildren playing in the playground, we no longer have grandchildren. We don't use the swimming pool, et cetera, et cetera. My thoughts about some of those were, okay, they were good and they need upgrading and so forth. But I'm wondering if the people who don't live on Park Street really had a whole lot of concern about that. Where was their priority in answering that? Yeah, we think it should be shut off. I question whether or not they put a lot of thought into that. I don't know. I think another part of that is that in the survey, it didn't say a whole lot about exactly why we would do that. In other words, list of reasons to do something, I could look at the reasons and say, oh, I wasn't in favor, but I can understand and they can at least part me behind it. But there was no reason for shutting it off. And so, yeah, street goes through there, yeah, I'm in favor of shutting it off. Without a whole lot of thought. A second point that I would make is that I'm not so sure that what we would gain as a village, and I'm behind the big picture. I've lived in this village for, we're pushing 50 years now, and in the same house for most of those. I'm not so sure what we would gain by closing down Park Street at that point and taking that asphalt and converting it to grass or whatever might happen to it. If you looked at the square footage of that, what is that going to accomplish? Are we going to put something there? I don't know. You know, I haven't seen a plan for that. And so I'm concerned about that aspect of it. If Park Street, if there were no residences halfway down that block, and we could gain a whole lot more space from it, then I could say, well, maybe we could do this or that. There was a question on the survey about pickleball court. And pickleball is getting more and more popular. But even that space that we've gained would not, you couldn't put a pickleball court there. It isn't big enough. Maybe undersized or something. I looked up the dimensions for pickleball. So anyway, that's a concern of mine. What would we do with it? What would we gain by it? A person who wasn't living there and hasn't been living across from the ball diamond and next to the park for as many years as we have might say, well, it must be a health hazard, safety hazard. I cannot recall one incident in the pushing 50 years where there's been a police call because somebody got hit by a car. Many, many years ago, the village said, I guess it was the Broncos, I'm not sure. And by the way, the Broncos, they don't have any problem with it being open. They have as much traffic going back and forth on game days. And I'm not speaking for the Broncos. Trust me, I talked to a couple of them, that's all. But the village, they proposed a gate, and this is a possible alternative. They proposed some kind of a gate that could be put across a, let's say, a steel arm of some sort during certain functions. And if that were there at every home Bronco game and Legion game, great. It would improve the safety of the aspect of it, maybe. But to have it closed 365 days a year when it's not being used for a pretty high percentage of those days, I question that. And but anyway, going back to the original thought, the village gave the Broncos a couple of these signs that they put, you probably all seen them. They put out there on the day of the game or the other activity, fine. And the example I'll give you is the Thursday night before the carnivals. They go up there and they set up, and the park is all crowded and people setting up and working. Gene and I go to church, we just turn the other way that night. But if we were not allowed to go through that way all the time, and other people went, all of a sudden we come up there and they're going to have to turn around because there's no through street. And I suppose you could put a sign down at 117 that event, but we don't have the 8,922 grandchildren and great grandchildren that this lady has playing in her driveway in her yard all the time.
Yeah.
They would be turning around in driveways. I don't want them turning around my driveway, not because I don't like it, but because they'd be coming up on the lawn and pretty soon the driving is not the same as it was. So those are my thoughts and the thoughts of a couple of other people that are talking. And I appreciate your time listening to me. Thank you.
I guess I'll just address some of the reasoning behind that road being closed, because it does, first of all, it's not a dedicated roadway. It never has been. It's how it got paved, I don't know. It's been paved forever, I know that, but it's not a dedicated roadway. Not all the way up Park Street. I don't know exactly where it ends, but it's not a dedicated roadway. So that's why this was brought up by Cedar Corp to solidify that park to make it as one. Since it's not a road, it technically isn't a through street, and to make the park as one. There is no plan per se with this survey to say put a pickleball court there or anything else. It's just to make that park solidified as one, rather than have a road run through it as it currently is. That was the thought, to improve the safety. I know there may not be many accidents or a history of accidents there, but to improve the safety of people driving through there during the event, whether it's, and it goes both ways. So there's going to be traffic turning around, so that increased safety on the other aspect. But if there's no road going through there, eventually, people will hopefully stop coming down there. You can put a dead end sign down there. I'm not going to argue that fact about that, but I'm just telling you the idea behind it is because A, it was never a road. B, it would solidify the park and hopefully improve safety of people going back and forth between the playground, concession stand / pavilion. So that's why that was on the survey.
Manuel grandfather got in back in 1982. I mean, it's been here so long.
Yeah, it's been here, everybody knows that road goes through there. But that was why it was sort of brought up. If we don't want to vacate it, my next step is to survey it off and get it dedicated as a roadway. Because right now it's not dedicated to the public. Yep. Yep.
On the last one on the street, the fence is going between me and the park, but way up, I guess, here, or house is years. It ended, the paved road ended one of our properties, that our property was, and that's what ended. There on, it was just a little gravel trail, and then over to, what we call Mother's Lane. The tractor trailer goes through the park,
Yep.
and right alongside the food stand. And we were at the edge of the world, everything else was cornfields. There wasn't veterans until 74.
Yeah.
There was nothing, like I would go to the cornfields, and so literally that little tractor field was called Mother's Lane. And then eventually they put up the water pump house. And then we have a over here, and when it was like it was down, it was on the street, that time. But it wasn't food. As you're saying, it wasn't vegetable street.
Yep.
In order to get to the pump house. Could have been, they put it through at that point. That would have been 70s, yes. 74. Ron Rogers posting up in 74, he was the first one. And then put up the street. My concern, again, was what you said, as it said in the survey on the street, that part of the street, the guy says the park, in order to build new facilities, not just to do what exactly, how they do it.
Well, we're looking at it. I mean, with the survey, we're looking at, adding a new restroom facility, updating the kitchen facilities, because them are all pretty old up at Village. I'm just naming off a couple things at Village Park.
But like, what facilities that you need to vacate the road for?
To solidify the park.
It said in the survey to facilitate, to building facilities.
Set to improve safety. Let me just
And
To accommodate new facilities. improve
accommodate. I mean, we don't have an architectural plan yet of where we want to put a kitchen or anything else.
so will it be the pavilion?
I don't know. Probably not. The pavilion will probably stay. Just the rough ideas that we've had so far is to keep the pavilion as it is, because it is a neat old building. And then maybe build the restrooms, a larger restroom facility that's attached to it. And these are all just ideas. Nothing's been approved. So I don't want to say that's what we're doing. But, we were talking about adding a restroom facility that was attached to the pavilion so you could access it from inside the pavilion. A larger facility to accommodate more people rather than, the couple stalls that are there for the men and the women. Updated kitchen. I don't know if we go bigger with that. Something that's more like down at Cedar Park with the concession stand we have down there. something more along the lines. But as far as the pavilion goes, I don't think that anybody wants to see the pavilion get altered or changed. That hasn't been brought up. I don't think anybody has mentioned that even in the survey to change the pavilion.
So you're saying in your plans, the only reason to vacate that street would be to consolidate park or make it one?
Yeah. Just make it, I mean, there's not too many parks with a road that go through it. Obviously, that's not a high traffic road. It's not fast speed limit. But we were just looking at the idea of vacating, it's not even vacating the road, just because the road's not even technically there. Putting a parking lot over there closer towards the south side of the pavilion. Again, we don't have plans. So that way you had a hard stand parking lot for ADA accessible to reach the facilities. So that way you'd have a larger parking lot right there where the Wickmans are parking right now.
Yeah.
So like that area there to remove some of that fencing and to use some of that green space that's further north in that area on the ball field. So we're looking at all options, but even if we had a plan for options of that green space right now, it wouldn't make our priority list because we got way too many things to get done and, enough money to do maybe a half of one.
So you all live on Park Street, right? All you guys?
No, no,
Except Nate.
plans doesn't matter what you do.
Okay, so my question to you guys then is, first of all, thank you for being concerned and coming here and expressing your thoughts, because that's what we need. But I want to ask a question, see if you can answer. If, of course, like you said, we don't have any plans right now. We just have what Cedar Corp told us would be some good reasons for solidifying that park, making that road, quote unquote, a green space. So I'm going to ask you guys, maybe you've already answered it, maybe I missed it, but I'm going to ask you guys, what would you be giving up if that was if that road was eliminated and covered with green space? What would you be giving up? What would you lose? What would you be giving up?
I would lose the option of going east or west.
Anybody else?
It would, a lot more traffic.
Pardon me?
There'd be a lot more traffic on public lands using our property as parking. Even though you have no parking signs, people ignore those signs.
That could happen.
All
That could
over
happen.
the yard.
It's a possibility.
And you let people turn around in our drive.
Yeah, constantly.
I have people parking in the driveway.
Yeah.
Now, they'll park right across the driveway.
They do it now?
Yeah.
You know, right.
Not all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Just
And
big
once in a
events.
while, I use my front yard for a handicap, but, yeah. Because I have all my family homes in my yard,
Okay.
full of my family's cars, so they think that's a handicap parking. So I get most people, and they're wondering, they might be parked.
They leave the grass up until the sidewalk in the parking lot. All the grass between the parking lot and between the sidewalk and the street, he uses the parking lot. It's just, that's my property. I don't like people parking in it, digging holes in it, sitting their tires, throwing their garbage out. It's constant.
On the 4th of July, I think it was the last 4th of July, not 100%, more. The sign up there says no parking during public events or something, that's right on our property. And it adhered to it pretty well, but somebody parked there on the 4th of July. And I went out there and I said, did you notice the sign up there? Oh, no, I'm sorry. And they turned around and he left. And it wasn't more than a minute or two later, somebody else came in and said, I have a right to this, Pretty soon there's another car that pulled in there. Unless there's a policeman there policing it, it's pretty hard to.
We used to have a whole no parking sign that came with the house when we bought it. And we put no parking on there. Now the village put that no parking sign. Nobody reads it. And the danger is that if an emergency vehicle, and it did happen one year, when somebody used ambulance up at the park during the 4th of July. And it would be hard for an emergency vehicle to get up through it because the park's so tight. And so that's why they took it back to Church Street, so that emergency vehicles could get up there if needed.
So, in partial answer to your question, Mark, what would we lose? We would, I think it would exasperate that whole situation of parking on the side side of the street, so we lose that flexibility.
Got it. Thank you.
And also, they, I think they, more traffic because Sunday they had Washington Street. They cut off Washington Street from that too, so they came down Park Street. Because that's where the sign was, the sign says Village Park, 117 is Village Park Avenue. So they leave Park Street, so we could get more traffic.
I guess I have a question as to, there is kind of a way to turn around there in the actual park, right?
Yep, there's a little parking lot right there on, just on the north side.
So traffic would potentially still be able to get through, or, and we're talking about when that's be completely closed off for celebrations, or when you get to the parking lots.
I gotta say that again?
I'm just curious.
Yep.
If there's maybe something in the plan even about parking for, going forward, if there's a way to alleviate that in the plan.
They park right now all the way up to that other street that passes really not well. Just maybe that could get better parking up in this grass or something.
You're talking about the parking lot just right beside the pavilion there, and that, right. So that was part of the survey too, to make that parking. That's what I'm talking about, to make that up.
Because even that, all the way through the other street there, if it was paved or something, good taste of that. Turning around.
We didn't have an option when we did Washington Street up there to put a parking lot in the Village Park. But it's just expensive. So it's a very expensive thing to put that parking lot in. And so we tried to tie it in with the street project, meaning that it was expensive.
Anything else? I guess what our next step is to look at the list of information we got there. You all have a copy of the survey, and prioritize some things. What I did, and I know this is kind of a wish list, I'll hand that down there. I prioritized 10 things according to the survey and to what Cedar Corp put out as possible recommendations to prioritize the list. I'll give you all a chance to look at that. The first one, everybody had a big, very in strong favor of replacing the scattered playground equipment both at Cedar Park and Village Park. I think that has to be priority one. You'd have to obviously list them out differently for Village Park and Cedar Park because it's two different projects. Next, I had replace the existing restroom facility design. Design of new restroom should complete the pavilion design and standards at Village Park, meaning a new restroom facility that's attached to the pavilion, to update that to have more facilities. So that way when there's events held up there, there's more restrooms available. Next, I had remove and rebuild the concession stand shelter at Village Park. And then number 5, which nobody likes, but we have to do, hire somebody to come in and tell us what trees to cut and what to plant, what to trim. Some of them cottonwoods down at Cedar Park, they suck up like 1,000 gallons of water a year, so we need to keep as many of them as possible because we want to eliminate all the wet areas down there. There is a drainage issue down there, so some of them cedar tree or cottonwood trees we want to keep. We're going to have to trim up some because they're getting old, and with that, we're going to have to replace some of the old trees so that way we can continue to beautify the park. I know nobody wants that on their list of things to do, and it was a pretty low priority on the survey, but I think that's something important we need to do at both parks. Because even up at Village Park, some of them old trees, the roots are coming up out of the ground. They're getting old, and the village doesn't have the capability of trimming them large trees, or and I don't have the background to be a forester to say, hey, this is good, this is not bad. Next, number 6, new dugouts and backstop at Field 1, the old field at Cedar Park. Number 7, new scoreboard at Cedar Park. Number 8, replace and refurbish the bleacher shelter at Village Park, so the sitting area to connect that to the pavilion to make it one. It's pretty old and decrepit. It's falling apart. There's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done to it. The wood's rotting away. So that's why that was put on there. So if we're going to redo it, let's redo it and cover it from, because that would eliminate baseballs from flying in between the seating area and the pavilion and causing that hazard. And some of them bleachers out there are pretty outdated, so that was all wrapped up into that one. Install new scoreboard.
They're in there twice.
I got her on there twice, so good. It's on there twice. And then number 10, define and install paved parking lot off East Park Street on the west side of the village at Village Park. That parking stall or stand I was talking about, so that way we can have ADA accessible parking to the park, have something available for the handicap, so we're not parking in other people's lawns, hopefully. I can't guarantee that. Some other things we can do that I don't think need to make the priority list. Village Park field lights. We've already approved through the village board to fund the replacement of the Village Park baseball lights because they're old and outdated. They're burning out. We cannot find replacement parts, and 3 went out last year, and we have nothing to replace them, and I'm sure they're just going to continue to burn out. So they approved the funding to replace them lights. We're looking at splitting that cost with the school and other organizations that use that field. So that wouldn't make our priority list, even though it was on the survey. Removal of the road running through Village Park, Park Street. Like I said, that would be a removal of the asphalt, essentially from where you turn in to the pavilion, right there, that first driveway, or that side door that's furthest west, and it would be vacated to Washington Street. So there's no survey work that needs to be done. It would be a matter of curb and gutter on both sides. One side, definitely the one side on Washington Street to make that curb and gutter, because that it's curb and gutter in Washington. We just solidify with that. What we do with the other end off Park Street, I don't know yet. I don't know exactly how that would work out. And I also had on there Cedar Park Field 2 grading the seating area. Right field we're looking at doing next fall because we're using our compost. So we did some of that already, some grading of that new field at Cedar Park where the bleachers were. So we hauled in a bunch of compost, got it rolled, got it seeded, got some grass growing. The Bat Ball Club got some bleachers donated, I believe, from the Packers. We're putting in some crushed aggregate to make a hard stand for the bleachers to go on. So we pretty much got the new field bleacher area covered this year. Next year, we're hoping to do the left field, because if you go there and look at that field right now, from the third base to the left field fence is probably about a 3-foot drop. And you just stand there. And I don't know if that's from settling or the design or whatever, but that's part of the reason why people don't play on that field. The seating, things that we fixed, and the left field. So hopefully we can get that done next year. What's that? We already finished the water line. Yep. For those of you who don't know, we finished putting in a water line at Cedar Park. The Bat Ball Club paid for the material along with a track. Was it a track or a little?
Sprayers, field, track and field.
Yeah, Strayer's Track and Field Fund and the Bat Ball Club paid for parts, which was about $6,000. The village paid for the labor to put it in, which is about the same. So that's all put in. The other thing on the list was a water. This is from Cedar Corp. Is water at the dog park. What I'm looking at is portable water options, maybe a water cooler, because we're not going to run a water line all the way out there. Maybe put a portable water cooler out there for them to use that we have to fill up 2-3 times a week or whatever. So that way there's water out at the park, because that was another thing that comments on the survey. So that's my take of it, my priority list, with the exception of the scoreboard on there twice. I guess I'm looking for input, or you got the input from the citizens. Is there any other inputs from the plan commission?
Well, I mean, this is okay.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about, we have to, remember, we have to take into consideration closing off Park Street. You know, that's gotta be one of our priorities to look at. Even though Cedar Park Corporation said we should probably do it, we still have to make our own decision.
Yeah, I guess let me rephrase that part about the Park Street. The priority list I'm putting together is what we're gonna put on a priority list to put on our comprehensive plan to say these are we'll probably get maybe two of them, but like the top 5 to 10 items. Say that's what, so we know what you want me to pursue first to get done. The priority of the Park Street removal of the asphalt has to be, thought of as a priority, but it's not going to be on this priority list, is what I guess I'm saying. Okay. So I think the board has to decide whether we want to do it, taking the input from the survey, taking the input from the citizens, with our recommendation to the board, if we think it's a good idea to do it, and go from there.
Do you guys have a copy of it?
No, that's my copy. It'll be published. So my thought is we're going to look at this priority list. You can tell me yay, nay, move this around, move that around. I looked at the survey, I found something else I think is a bigger priority. This is just my mud on the wall. This is my first stab at it. This is not right by means. All means there's, but I think we have to discuss what our priority is and come up with something, because this is going to essentially come up with what our priority for funding is. Right. So the outdoor rec plan is going to say we want to do 1 through 5. And since we have an official outdoor rec plan, then we get recognized to receive funding from like CBDG, Pick a Place. So without this outdoor rec plan, what I was trying to do is put in a playground. And then I found out from Shawano, hey, they got an outdoor rec plan. That's how they got that funding. So then I talked to Cedar Corp and MSA and other people, and then we came up with to go with Cedar Corp to get this plan so we can get some funding. So I guess I'm open to whatever you guys.
Does anything jump out at you guys that you want improved right away, or that you think is a high priority to be improved at Village and Cedar Park? Anything? I know.
What number was the Park Street? It's on there, but what number was it? So I guess I need to understand.
Number 10.
Okay, so the outdoor rec plan was developed because in order to get any type of larger grant, you have to have an outdoor rec. The outdoor rec plan is like a 5-year plan. After 5 years, it's pretty much out. So what they do is they look at, what do you want to get done in 1 to 2 years? What do you want to get done in 3 to 4 years? What do you want to get done in 5 years? Then at 5 years, you're going to look at this again and say, okay, what did we get done? What didn't we get done? And then you kind of in 5 years reevaluate and say, all right, now let's start over. But in order to get any of these grants, you have to have this outdoor rec plan. So that's why we started developing this outdoor rec plan this year, because to get any larger grants, and part of our comprehensive plan, when we did that back in 2018 and 19, said that we were going to do an outdoor rec plan, which we never did. It never started.
That's what we need.
It said in there that it was going to be developed, and we never had anyone know it. So this is trying to get that part of the ultimate comprehensive plan into, because in there it said it was to be done, and then with changing of staff and things, that didn't happen. So we went back to Ken and said, okay, in our comprehensive plan, it said we were going to do this. The last outdoor rec plan we had was renewal. After 5 years, it's obsolete. So basically, we're starting over. Once he gives us the template, if we have to spend some money for to do this, in 5 years, we can continue to do it ourselves then, knowing that these are the things we identified that we want to work with. We don't really know what we want to do. We know we need playground equipment. Our stuff is old, it's getting to the point where it's probably not safe, we need to get it. But that's what we're trying to identify here. Not saying that always things are gonna happen. It's just like Jesse said, we want to go. We definitely know we want playground equipment. We want to work on the bathrooms. We want to do some of these things. There's people asking us, like there's groups that said, hey, we got some money, what do you want to do? And we said, we want your money, but we need to do this first to see where we can utilize that money the best. And they're like, okay, and we told them, once we get this plan, we're coming back to you and we want to use your money, but we need to know what we can put that effort towards first.
The things at the bottom, like the lights and the vacation of Park Street, the reason that's not on the list, we're never gonna get any money for them things. So that's gonna be 100% on the village, like the lights we're paying for, the road removal of the asphalt, I don't wanna say vacation, because it's not really a road. The removal of the asphalt would be on the village, so we're not gonna get any money for that type of projects, as I was saying.
So that would be the next step.
It's not gonna be in the rec plan, we use a survey to find out, we wanna gauge interest. I mean, obviously, there is some interest or opposition to it, which isn't bad.
Mark asked the question, what do we think about this? The only thing that crossed my mind is that before you talk about removing and rebuilding concession stand, so I would talk with people in the Lions Club, Celebrate Bondwell, and maybe some other people that use that for family use, because it seems to me that kitchen there is not well used.
And there's actually a Lions Club, and there is, there's another,
The Syoka Foundation that helped do the pavilion has contacted us and says,
they
hey,
wanna put money in
I will
it,
give you
try to
money.
get it,
Do you have an outdoor rec plan?
But they want the outdoor.
No, I don't.
What my only point was,
Input?
maybe you don't have to build a kitchen because Celebrate Bondwell and Lions Club they bring the food trucks, now with as much as anything else, so maybe we need a kitchen facility, a new kitchen facility, not a grandiose one. That was the only thing that crossed my mind.
I mean, honestly, we have a handful of events there that are large, and they do bring in food trucks. Maybe, I don't know, there's all kinds of possibilities. Like I said, the one we have at Cedar Park, that's not a grand spot, but it's a very nice facility with the bathrooms and the kitchenette in there and the little overhead cover that's on the outside of it. Maybe it's something smaller like that, that we need up there.
Even the pavilion, we had one more request from the volunteers, who wanted to use that, but then we had issues with that. So.
There's no heat.
There's no heat. So that's the other thing, we're like, is there a way to put bathrooms in there or attach bathrooms and get some type of heat in there, because people are constantly, they have a facility that would be, you know, that's big enough to have a shower, or, you know, those type of things. So, you know, that's another thing, we've been, people are asking us, they want to use some money to do these things, because they want us to do Village Park, we renovate it for, you know, give us money to do things, but yet, we're using it. So that's what this whole plan is trying to figure out.
Good work on this, I mean that, this is all necessary.
It's just a process to get.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we'll probably get to maybe the top three, to be realistic in 5 years. Right. Right.
That's why we're looking for the grant. And a lot of that's, like I said, most everyone wants the outdoor recreation, and without that, we're not able to do it.
So the things on the bottom, like, then
Well, right now we're going forward with the lights as far, and I know the big one is the street. That would be something I would have to get to see A, what it costs, and then, well, B, see if that's what the board wants to do, and then see what it costs.
And I think we have to have a plan of what we're gonna do.
Right.
To make it even something that's.
And It's not something we're probably gonna do in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4 years.
But you know, that-
Yeah, let me tell you, I mean, rather than like go really out to the street, I think the next day, the resident who left for the past, that we do a little something.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about our street.
Oh, yeah, I think if we get to that spot, I mean, that was just one of the questions in here, I mean, they're not making that decision anytime soon, I don't think, but, I mean, one of the things that they had in here was, what did he have, construct a band shelter of some sort, or some kind of, you know, because every year for all these events, they're making some kind of makeshift stage. And I think that's where he's thinking maybe some of that green space could be some kind of a band shelter, or making some kind of a area, you see all these conflicts in the park. We don't have a very good area that's defined for that, and because of that road being there split, you know, for all the events, we shut that road.
There's also the sewer park, that's real space and those parks.
Correct.
You know,
But there's a lot of ball diamond stuff there
Well,
too.
it is, but I mean, could it be something that, you know, could be like it's on the street first? Like if they want to do something. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's a thought. I mean, I'm not against it.
But I think he was just looking to see, we're looking to, you know, how to make our parks better, and he's looking at other communities and what they have, and just throwing stuff out there for us, so.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
the
he was just-
cement pad, that's at Village Park, that's our band shell, and then we have another, dance area somewhere else. I mean, these are all just ideas.
Yeah,
And right now, like the band shell ain't even gonna make the top 10, so that's, yeah,
no,
that's,
that's,
if we,
that's
yeah.
way down.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the playground system, that's what you can, you
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of kids that play on that constantly.
Mhm.
So that definitely is a high priority. That's the last time we had. I know. The last time we had, I think, our ice rink, they did, somebody for the new equipment that is out there, up around 45.
you know, it's old, but the tag is still on there for when we purchased it. That's how we found out the year. The shipping label was still on it.
Come begin.
So what do you like?
I can't remember. It's old though. Even the new stuff is old, but the old swings, that's gotta be at least 50, 60 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And some of that stuff is turning into a liability for the village, and we gotta do something about it.
But that means slide, but it's a larger.
That merry-go-round
No,
could
eventually,
sell as an
school
antique.
children, they line up to get on it, because
I've
the
got
other
to go.
slide is a toddler slide. That's a smaller toddler. So as long as they're tearing up the streets.
No.
No, if we do decide to do that, you'll get a, half-hour notice or something. I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah. Thanks for
All
coming
right,
by.
thanks. So I guess you guys want to look at this, discuss it some more, and what the priority is. Happy with what, them are our three options, I guess.
Mhm.
Leave it as is, as I prioritize, further discussion.
So you went through all this stuff here, right?
To present to the board.
So,
Thank you.
Thank
again.
thank you.
You're more than generous.
thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Mhm. So you went through all this, you went through there, right?
Yep.
Get your,
Yep, so if you go through there, like, you got the survey. First couple of questions is just demographics.
Mhm.
Do you use the park,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. But when it comes down to, we had the top 4 priorities on the parks, and overwhelmingly, I mean, each park had 68%
Yeah.
and 67% that says, yeah, we need new playground equipment.
Okay.
It's very expensive. You're
Yeah.
talking a couple $100,000 for playground equipment.
Mhm.
And that's really the big thing we need. Well, we'll see. I mean, you never know. And then new restrooms was another 60% at Village Park. So that's sort of where I put the top 3 items.
So this is all pretty much based on your. what
Based
you found
on-
the survey.
Yep.
Good. Good. So I've got no problem with this then.
Except
It's
for the
based
one
on-
addition I put in there was the trees, because
Okay.
nobody wants to talk about trees. Nobody cares about trees. It's not the sexy thing to talk about. But we gotta do something because they're getting old.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
So do we need a vote on this or what?
Cause he's gonna put this all in.
He's gonna put it together. He said he doesn't need to come to a plan commission. He just wants to go to the board.
I would think that
Okay, we could do whatever we want. We're contracting him.
correct.
So if we want him to come back here, that,
Well, no, I don't think he needs to come back, because they got to present, give us a document.
Yeah. he'll give us that. Once we have a priority list, then we give it to
So I
him.
think these guys should look at the priority list.
Okay.
Make sure it's right before we present that to the board.
Okay.
I mean, this is your priority list, but I would think it should look pretty.
This is my suggestion, that priority list. The ordinance has changed where I'm no longer on a plank.
Correct.
I'm not a voting member, just so everybody knows.
Correct, but I'm thinking
So
that
this is just
they should
my,
get this list in the document. And look at
Yep.
the overall document, make sure it's right for the recommended
Yeah.
document to the board.
I agree. I just don't know if they want to change anything, reprioritize, let it, look at it for a couple weeks and bring it back, or what they want to do.
That's what I'm saying, you want to go forward with this, put
Mhm.
this into
Yep.
the overall rec plan. Now,
Ken put it together,
Give us the draft,
present it to
look
us,
at that
we'll
draft,
move it forward.
and then.
Yep. That's the way I understand it.
I'll make the motion that we move forward with the prioritization list here, which is based on the village survey. And send it to Ken. With the understanding that Ken will present the document to the plan commission upon his completion of it.
Motion by Walsh, second by Westcott, to move forward with the village outdoor recreation plan. Whatever we present to Ken, and do it back with, correct?
Recreation plan, present that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we will move to F2, discussion of possible action on review of conditional use permit for Manic Motors LLC is located on 201 West Street.
This was part of the plan commission, was it back in July, June?
Mhm.
To give a 6-month approval on a conditional use permit to make sure that things were being followed, testing and running equipment to be done inside if possible between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. to abide by the village noise ordinance. I haven't observed or see any problem with that since we've incorporated this conditional use. Maintain outside appearance is not to present a junkyard. Let me back up. This is just for 201 West Green Bay Street, which is static noise. The original request was for 201 and what is the address on that?
Which one was for 201?
And 132 North First Street. So this is just for 201 West Green Bay Street. Maintain outside appearance is not to present a junkyard appearance. The only thing I would say is that it goes along with the other one for 60 days. There's been some things out there. I guess, do you own the yellow Jeep out there? Okay. Is it registered?
It's got a temporary one on the back.
Okay. The few concerns I have about that is like on the back here, we got a snowmobile and some other stuff back there. And I don't want that to grow exponentially. And then next thing you know, I got something over there that looks like a junkyard, because junk is defined as material that is not, so like like the snowmobile. Since I'm just guessing here, but you got it because your name's on it. Does it say Johnson on there?
69.
Yeah. So I don't think you're going to go down a snowmobile trails with it anytime soon.
I have two, I have a 69 tax and a 69 drop.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is, so it defines it as a vehicle that's not being used as it's intended. So someone could argue, or I could argue, that snowmobile is intended to be used to ride the snowmobile trail. I know you're not going down a snowmobile trail with it, but there's some other things out there to maintain the appearance of the building is all I'm saying. You were in here talking about nostalgia and the building, and then it's kind of, I got a unicorn out there during the summer. I got kids' toys back there. And I understand you have a family and it is your business, but I guess I'd just like to see it a little bit more, I guess, business rather than a play yard. And I know you got kids and they come over there and do hang out with dad. Not against that at all. Some of the things over there concern me that going forward, it's going to grow exponentially. Such as, road barricades, a couple grills. That white vehicle's been parked out there for a while. I know it's been moved a couple times. You can have something out there 60 days, but it's essentially been parked back there since sometime around July. I'm just guessing. I believe it was July. So I'm just saying, really not an issue. I just would like to see it cleaned up a little bit more. That's just me saying. The planning commission can say what they want. Moving on to the next thing on the list, vision triangle. I haven't had no problems with that. The 5 vehicles, you haven't been over the 5 vehicles, but the one has been there longer than 60 days. Off-street parking and future employees, don't know of any of that issue right now either. I don't believe we're selling more than 5 vehicles. I'm not over there every day hanging out, checking what's going on. So I don't believe you need a dealer's license. So, and I believe that some other people are bringing things to sell on your property. I could be wrong, such as the red lawn tractor. Yeah. I guess I'll open it up to the planning commission.
Do you feel comfortable with what Jesse just said?
Yeah, and I was waiting for my chance to respond. But yeah, I agree that I want it to be more business focused. Still getting the wheels under me, started getting kids inside the shop where I need to be. Get things around. There's still a section of the bad path still being used by the tractor for storage. Looking forward to getting that, so I get my inside and not out for everyone to see or any owners for that matter. I did actually have probably a dozen people that stopped to take pictures with or take pictures of that. But yeah, definitely I'm headed in that direction. Good goal. Right now, we want it.
Wait, are you a neighbor? Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm going to ask you, have you heard any loud motor running, mechanic work, or things of that nature? Okay.
I was going to suggest for to put in back sheds or something, so it was just wondering if you explain that they don't have access to that section.
I have no issues. I mean, things look, you're making some progress and moving it along. I see no reason not to continue.
I would just like to add one thing. The the 132 North First Street, the parking lot back here. You need, I guess I don't know what you're doing with it right now, because if I had to say something's going on back there, I'd call it a junkyard. Because you have a skid steer with no tires on it. And I know that there's some other farm machinery that's back there, or racks, I'm not even sure, old wheels that Village Tractor has back there, so I got that. I don't know, maybe it's yours, I don't know.
That lot is all really for whatever it was before. I'm dealing parts there, but that's still having to be.
That lot was a conditional use for farm equipment when they were selling farm equipment out of here. Since it's new owners, there's really no conditional use for that parking lot. So as it sits right now, it's just a lot. It can't be used, I guess it could be used for some things, but it can't be used for, I mean, vehicles can park there, obviously, he allows you to park there. He parks there for his 1919, but the other things in there, like the trailer that has a skid steer on there, I think it has one wheel on it, not even sure. Some other stuff in there that's beginning to be a junk yard type appearance. Because the definition of junk is something that is accumulated, whether it's vehicles, wood, metal, anything that is not being used, or I don't know. Let me see.
Are you renting a lot or is that Kevin?
Good question.
Are you renting that lot or is Kevin? He's renting it out, so he's not renting that lot.
I've been meaning to talk to Kevin about.
So he's not renting.
So if you're not renting it, then it's a non-conversation piece. I gotta take it up with Kevin. I got
So
it.
if it's not,
I'd like to see it cleaned up too. I was gonna ask him if he doesn't mind, I'll throw what's worthless into his trailer and get it off the ground and into a dumpster somewhere. And stuff that he wants, because there is some antique value items out there and whatnot that, he might want or something. But I'd like to see it cleaned up too, especially with dealing with snow through this season.
Yeah, and I know it's a pain, and this is not even the right place for this conversation, but everybody parks there now that it's empty, thinking it's a parking lot. Some people pile their snow, such as laundromat over there, but that's not us, so that's not my argument with that. That's what other residents and maybe the police could help us with that.
so if you're not renting it, that's something then.
Yeah.
You need to talk.
I'll take the Kevin, so let's disregard.
Everybody's back and you just need to mention that this is a business unless you want to reach out.
I got nothing else.
Motion to still.
Yeah, I'll
Oh.
make that motion.
So once you get that typed up, I'm gonna read the motion back.
Okay, so what do you guys want to do?
Oh, we didn't make a motion.
No, we didn't make a motion.
Okay. I guess, I missed something here. So
So
what,
I said I need a motion if you guys are good with, so right now, you guys had a motion from the last meeting,
oh, okay.
was that, you granted the conditional permit,
Right.
with no more than 5 vehicles parked outside, more than 60 days being worked on. And we had all those conditions that were basically testing and running equipment done between the hours of 7 AM and 10, abiding by the noise ordinance. Maintain outside appearance, not to be a junkyard appearance, no, not to obstruct the vision triangle of vehicles or advertisement. No more than 5 disassembled or wrecked vehicles, including vehicles under repair, in the open for a period not to exceed 60 days, after which such vehicles shall be removed. Off-street parking to be offered for future employees of Manic Motors, so if you've got employees that park off-street. As a business, it's selling more than 5 vehicles per year, Wisconsin dealer's license should be obtained by the Wisconsin. And then on the bottom of this, it just said that, Manic Motors agrees to meet with the Village of Ottawa Planning Commission, in December of 23 to review the terms of this condition. So basically, you just have to make a motion that,
You got three options. You could say, no, you don't want the conditional use. You could B, say you will grant a conditional use, and then the only other thing you could do would be grant a conditional use with other stipulations, whether it's something you want to add to it or time frame or something else. So that's,
so basically, if you want to go forward and let them continue as is, no restrictions, you would just say, okay, these same restrictions, and he doesn't need to check back with us. Or you could say, nope, we're not redoing it, or yes, we want this, but we want to add something else. So that's.
So refresh my memory. Did we approve the conditional use last time?
for 6 months.
Right.
For
that's what I
6
thought.
months,
Right.
with these
Oh, okay.
restrictions, which
So
you
make a
still
motion
might
to
want
renew
at least these
Make
restrictions,
the
and
motion
those
to
are very
renew it.
typical. But this is with the 6-month recheck.
I'd recommend that you approve the conditional use with the current restrictions that are on it. The only thing is if you'd want to have him come back at some in a year.
And this is just for that, because he is not, just,
He's not renting.
doing
Right.
it with this back parking lot, that is still covered, so. Doesn't seem like there's any issues, so.
So I move that we approve the conditional use with, under the current stipulations that we have in presently from, that was previously approved.
Second.
Second by Welch. To approve the conditional use permit with current restrictions on it. Motors. Located on 201 West Big Street. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? F1, discussion of possible action on review of business plan for regenerative energy center located at 103 South Beach.
I don't think there's-
Thanks for coming. Have a nice
Yeah, thank
evening.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is for the conditional use of EE systems on the corner. I've had no issues with them really. They have had one thing out there for sale since they had their conditional use in a year, which, I mean, I don't find bad if you want to sell something. I know they have their other place out there where they can list a bunch of other stuff, but he's getting business there. I don't see any, I haven't had any complaints, to tell you the truth. I recommend you just approve his conditional use for the same thing of ensure that he's not out there selling random stuff, couches, UTVs. Check back in a year. You just review in a year.
So when we approved the original motion, did we have that selling random stuff in there?
No, we just had in there to recommend, basically, that you approved it, determined provide a status report in 1 year on the business progress and operations, so just to make sure that it was still in the same direction that it was, and that there was no other operations. And it's off track of
When did we do that? When was that?
November 28th last year,
Is that, you've been a year already?
it's been a year.
I wasn't part of that, so you
Well, we're all eating the meal every day by it.
Yeah, it's radiating out.
Coming out from there that is practical.
Everything's going, working. I recommend that we approve the conditional use.
Would you like to add the sale of
Oh,
non?
well, I don't know. I mean, how do you,
My fear is that one day I'm going to come into town
and there'd be four things
and there's
there.
a fire truck, a cop car, a UTV, a
What?
lift.
Then how can you,
I guess you really don't.
Wouldn't that be then something to approach and say,
Right, because that would be part of the conditional use.
this is kind of out of the,
Because nothing he has really fits the description. We don't have one that says broadcasting a light and rays as a healing center as a conditional use. It doesn't require anything from DSPS for a medical stance. It's just something that he wants to do, and it's other.
He's got a conditional use for all other for EE energy. So,
Anything other than EE energy systems, I would have to approach him. So I guess we don't need to list
you
that
know,
if he becomes a
I think
auction
you
site.
basically, you
Just
just
say,
need
do
to
it.
watch it, if you got these outside the normal realm, and then it would be addressed at that point.
Good. That sounds good.
yep, that's what they're coming.
I'll second that.
Now, yeah.
Basically, I just prove it as it is, to continue.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? If there's no fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion of possible recommendation on certified survey map for pond.
Okay, what this is, that the road that goes behind the fire department is Pond Street, and the one that goes to my building, that was the piece of paper, the update that you got. We moved a couple things. We moved the document number out of there and the Langs out of the street dedication and gave it an actual name, Pond Street, to declutter it a little bit. So once this is approved, these roads are dedicated to the public by the board, once it's approved by the board. Dedicated to the public as an actual roadway. The survey work, that's what is completed here. The only thing I'm gonna throw something out to you right now. So I picked Tank Street because we had the Blackwater tank, the holding tanks there. I'm gonna make a recommendation to change it. You can tell me no, yay, nay, whatever. But we have Mr. James Wilson that works for the village.
Mhm.
He has a work anniversary actually tomorrow. He has worked here for 38 years. Nobody will ever work here that long again. And I guess what I'm saying is maybe it'd be nice to name it Wilson Street or Wilson Road in his dedication. Now that I'm pretty sure he's gonna work here at least 40 years, and we'll never have nobody work here 40 years again.
Yeah.
With state retirement and everything else.
Should make it a boulevard then.
We can do that.
This lawn,
The boulevard, the clover leaf. We'll put a clover leaf over
Yeah.
it. That would be the only recommendation to the change. And I just thought about that because his work at 1985, the guy's been working here. It was state retirement. You'll never have nobody working here that long again. So
I think that's a good idea.
but, so he asked me about it, I said, well, maybe, you know, the only thing is protocol, like, there's other roads that are named after a last name or better. But that's more so because that's what it's called, the development
Yeah.
area was better.
Yep. Yeah, good. I live on it.
You're right, and that's, you know, that land.
Yeah.
area was better. But we don't have a protocol or anything.
we don't have a protocol. The pump station has a thing out there that's after, I can't remember exactly. I don't know if it was dedicated to Becher. Because he worked here for a long time, but I think it would be a token of our appreciation to Mr. Welsing. I mean, he's been a staple of the community for, it's gonna be 40 years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not retiring for a couple of years, and I'm sure I'll probably hire him as a LTE once he retires to dig in the old pumping station. So either we accept it as is, or if you want to make that change, we can accept it with the change of the road, and then I will get the surveyors to change the CSM, and then we'll take it to the board.
I move that we change the name of Tank Street to Wilson, what do you want, Avenue or Street or way?
say Wilson Road, it seems pretty easy.
Okay,
Or
Wilson
Wilson
Road.
Street, I don't know.
Wilson,
Well, right, we'll go with Wilson Street.
okay. Do Wilson Street.
Oh, second. I was waiting if there
No,
was
I
more.
was done, yeah. I was thinking,
To recommend,
To the board.
The survey map for Pond Street and changing Pink Street to Wilson. Any discussion? Hearing none, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Second.
Motion by second by Dave.
Aye.